Hey there, focused learners, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something really special, the hero's journey of Phil Knight, and how a failed athlete literally built Nike from the ground up. We're unpacking the story of the world's absolute largest sportswear brand. We're talking about the exact same gear used by global legends, from Cristiano Ronaldo to Rafael Nadal. But we aren't just looking at the glitz and the success today. We're getting right into the grit, the failures, and the incredible, almost unbelievable pivots that actually made all of this happen. Okay, let's dive into this. 1,000 crore rupees. Now, take a guess. What is that number? Actually, scratch that. It's not their annual revenue, and it's definitely not their overall valuation. That staggering number is roughly what Nike earns every single day. It's just wild. It is an absolute mammoth of a company, right? An undisputed empire of modern athletics. But would you believe me if I told you that this massive daily money printing empire actually started out in the trunk of a car? No way, right? And what's even crazier? The visionary behind the whole shebang, a man named Phil Knight, well, he didn't start out as some brilliant, calculated businessman. He started out as a failed athlete. So let's look at exactly how he went from a completely shattered dream to building this absolute global phenomenon. Now, Phil Knight's early timeline is honestly fascinating. Born in Portland back in 1938, Phil wanted absolutely nothing more than to be a great runner. That was it. He works incredibly hard, he wins races, and by 1962, he completes his MBA. But that exact same year, reality just hits him like a ton of bricks during a morning practice. You see, he was one of the best in his state, but he had to accept this really heavy truth. He was good, but he wasn't great. His dream of being an elite athlete was basically over at the age of 24, but he just couldn't let sports go. During his MBA, he'd actually written this research paper, right? And it noted how Japanese cameras had totally disrupted the American market with high quality and low prices. He believed Japanese running shoes could do the exact same thing to giants like Adidas and Puma. So, with literally zero other real options and a ton of risk on his shoulders, he hops on a flight straight to Japan. So he gets there and secures a meeting with Onitsuka, the Japanese company that manufactured tiger shoes. I want you to picture this for a second. Phil is this nervous, shy, super introverted young guy sitting in a massive corporate office. The executives look at him and ask what company he represents. And, well, he doesn't have one. So he completely makes up a name right there on the spot. He visualizes the blue racing ribbons he used to win as a kid and just blurts out, "Blue Ribbon Sports." And somehow, the executives buy it. He pitches his college paper to them line by line, and astonishingly, they actually give him a deal to sell tiger shoes in America. So Phil orders his shoe samples, but get this, it takes almost an entire year for those 12 pairs of shoes to finally arrive at the customs office. When they finally do show up, he takes them straight to his former college track coach, Bill Bowerman. Now this was the absolute perfect pairing. Bowerman was a total genius who was obsessed with making shoes lighter. He used to actually take his students' shoes, literally tear them apart, and modify them just to increase their performance. Well, Bowerman loved these new Japanese samples so much that he offered to be a 50-50 partner. Phil would handle the business and sales side of things, and Bowerman would drive the product design and innovation. Honestly, it was a match made in heaven. So with the partnership officially formed, they obviously needed inventory. They managed to secure the exclusive distributorship rights for the Western USA and took out a $1,000 bank loan. And that small loan funded their very first real order of 300 tiger shoes. Phil straight up quit his accounting day job, stored all the shoes in his parents' basement, and just hit the road. He loaded up the trunk of his car and drove to every single athletic competition he could possibly find. And here's the thing, because he was an athlete himself, he completely understood the runner's specific problems. He spoke their language. And because of that deep connection, he sold out the entire 300 shoe shipment right out of his car trunk in just 2 months. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is the wild paradox of Nike's early days. Extreme success almost killed the entire company. Seriously, Phil was incredibly ambitious. He'd sell out a shipment and then immediately double or even triple the next order. He was reinvesting every single penny of profit back into the company, taking out more bank loans just to pay for the growing inventory. So despite their sales doubling year over year, Blue Ribbon actually built up thousands of dollars in debt and had a deeply negative cash flow. Eventually, the bank cut them off. They had zero cash left to operate. To keep his dream alive, Phil literally had to go back to work, taking a corporate accounting job at PwC just so he could pour his own salary right back into the business. Meanwhile, his partner, Bill Bowerman, was busy doing what he did best, innovating. He realized pretty quickly that American athletes were generally heavier and taller than Japanese athletes, so they naturally needed a totally different kind of support. So Bowerman tore apart different Tiger models, combined all their best features, and designed the absolute ultimate distance training shoe specifically for the American body. He named it the Cortez. Onitsuka manufactured it, and it was an absolute smash hit. I mean, it skyrocketed Tiger into being one of the top shoe brands in America. Thanks to Bowerman's incredible design work and Phil's relentless sales management, the numbers just went through the roof. By 1971, sales hit a massive $1.3 million. The business was literally doubling every single year, and finally, Phil was able to quit that PwC accounting job for good and focus entirely on Blue Ribbon Sports. But right when things were looking absolutely perfect, a massive betrayal happened. Onitsuka saw exactly how successful Blue Ribbon was, and, well, they got greedy. They wanted all the profits for themselves. So they issued Phil an ultimatum: sell 51% of Blue Ribbon to Onitsuka, or we strip your American distributorship and give it to somebody else. Talk about a devastating blow. But it pushed Phil to make the biggest, boldest decision of his entire life. He gathered his team and declared that the time for selling someone else's brand was over. They were going to walk away, and they were going to build their own. So what's the first step to building your own brand? You need a logo. Phil wanted something that awakened a sense of running, a sense of motion, and of course, a sense of victory. So he hired a graphic design student who provided a few different options. The team ended up selecting this curved, thick checkmark. And the cost for this absolutely legendary piece of design history? A mere $35. Can you believe that? Okay, next up, they needed a name. They were throwing around ideas like Falcon and Dimension 6, but nothing was really sticking. Then, right before their official launch, their very first employee, a guy named Jeff Johnson, actually had a dream. In that dream, he saw the perfect name: Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. It was just a perfect fit for a sports brand, wasn't it? The name was accepted, a third-party manufacturer was hired, and the Nike brand was officially born on May 30th, 1971. But here's the reality. A cool name and a neat logo aren't nearly enough when you're fighting giants like Adidas and Puma. So Phil deployed two brilliant strategies that literally nobody was really using back in the 1970s. First, world-class endorsements. He knew runners wanted to wear exactly what the best athletes were wearing. So Nike paid top runner Steve Prefontaine $5,000 a year just to wear their shoes, basically pioneering modern sports marketing. Second, they exclusively hired passionate athletes for their sales team. This meant that every single salesperson deeply, truly understood the customer's needs, which led to better product design, incredibly robust sales, and just top-tier customer service. And wow, did these strategies work flawlessly? Combined with Bowerman's brilliant shoe designs and Phil's seasoned management skills, Nike expanded rapidly. By 1980, which is just 9 years after their launch, Nike had 2,700 employees and hit $270 million in sales. They actually overtook Adidas to become the largest athletics company in the USA. Phil had finally done it. He'd built the ultimate sports brand. But as we all know, in the business world, you can never really get comfortable. Going into the 1980s, consumer tastes shifted pretty dramatically. People didn't just want a shoe that performed well anymore. They wanted a shoe that looked great walking down the street. They wanted style. They wanted fashion. Now, Nike had always been laser-focused on pure athletic performance, totally ignoring the fashion side of things. And a rival company named Reebok capitalized on this trend perfectly. By 1986, Reebok actually surpassed Nike. For the very first time ever, Nike suffered financial losses and was forced to lay off employees. It was a dark time. So the crucial point here is, to survive this massive crisis, Nike needed an absolute miracle, and they found one in an emerging rookie basketball player named Michael Jordan. Phil just knew this kid was going to be a legend, so Nike signed him as a brand ambassador and launched an entire line of basketball sneakers named after him. Before this, basketball shoes were honestly incredibly plain and boring. The Air Jordan revolution completely changed the game, introducing these bold colors and aggressive, stylish designs. And it wasn't just the design of the shoe, it was the marketing genius behind it. They paired Michael Jordan's phenomenal, gravity-defying on-court performances with these incredible cinematic advertisements. As the famous ad text read, Air Jordan, it's all in the imagination. This wasn't just a shoe anymore. It was this powerful combination of top-tier athletic performance and completely unmatched street style. It essentially birthed global sneaker culture exactly as we know it today. The results? Absolutely staggering. In their very first year of launch, Air Jordans sold $100 million worth of shoes. I mean, just think about that compared to the $35 they spent on a logo just a decade earlier. This immense success allowed Nike to finally crush Reebok, regain their crown, and kickstart a massive era of global expansion, all throughout the 1990s, conquering country after country and expanding into every single type of sportswear imaginable. Which brings us to today. Nike's current valuation sits at an astounding 112 lakh crore rupees. It is a dominant, cultural, and athletic titan. It's honestly incredible to think back to how this all started, right? A college research paper, a super introverted kid making up a company name on the spot in a boardroom, a $1,000 loan, and a car trunk completely full of running shoes. The true lesson of Phil Knight's journey isn't just about good shoe design, and it's not just about clever marketing. It is about relentless execution. In his memoir, Shoe Dog, Phil writes, "Let everyone call your idea crazy. Just keep going. Don't stop. Don't even think about stopping until you get there." And he lived that. He faced a failed athletic career, crippling negative cash flow, a massive betrayal by his biggest supplier, and even being overtaken by a rival brand. But he never, ever stopped. You've seen exactly how a crazy idea built a multi-billion-dollar empire from scratch. So I want to leave you with this. What is the crazy idea you need to just do it on today? Take a second and really think about it. Take that calculated risk and just start executing. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, Focus Learners, and I will see you in the next one.